Welcome to Biz Dev Live with Cameron. So Biz D with the C. We're going to get into this. We have the fabulous Aryn Chapman with us this morning, an accomplished event designer and producer. Aryn's career began in theater and film production, where she honored her eye for detail and grace under pressure. Since then, she has made a name for herself with her imaginative concepts, innovative themes, and her ability to create unforgettable events. Aryn has worked with a variety of international clients, producing meetings and conferences from concept to cleanup. Her favorite quote: "The world is flat right up until the day it is round." We're going to get into it, biz dev theme, and then we'll bring her in. Thanks.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
I love that.
Thank you. Welcome, Aryn. Thanks for being with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I love your theme song.
Well, thank you very much.
In the mood in the morning.
Yeah, get you in the mood as we jump right into this. So, tell us a little bit about your company, what you do day to day, and what you're most proud of, and then what I'd like to really jump into right after that, kind of how you got to where you are right now, and then we'll kind of get into some of the takeaways that you want to leave people with today.
Awesome. So sure. AAA Studios is a full service corporate event production company. We do literally corporate events locally, globally, and now very much virtually. We started about 10 years ago with one client, and we have steadily grown over the last 10 years and have been very fortunate to have most of our clients are repeat, which we love, and we love them. And then when COVID hit, we did a full redirect into hybrid and virtual meetings. We had always had a component of hybrid in our meetings. We feel that the online reach is it's so broad and inclusive that to ignore it, even in pre-COVID times, was foolish. So we just really focused on that, and we have demoed, I can't even count how many platforms at this point. And we are getting digital event certified. We're actually also getting certified from the Safety Alliance, so that when we do start having hybrid again, we're sort of at the ready. For me, the biggest takeaway of COVID is that no small business can afford not to be flexible.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some of the things that you've done now in the past that you've been most proud of or most excited about?
Wow, that's a good one. We do a lot of work for nonprofits, so it is always my privilege and honor to help amplify their message and their work. Spanning the spectrum from, combating anti-Semitism all the way to supporting girls' schools in Africa. So we focus a lot in nonprofit and in those areas for that reason. But I was the most excited about a project we were supposed to do this June, which was going to be in Berlin and had 7 venues and 2,100 people. And it was going to be so fun. But we did it virtually, and that was awesome too.
You're very much like me. I feel like I'm always focused on like what's coming next, and I don't really focus too much on the past. I know I've been involved with some interesting stuff, but I know when I get asked those questions, I always sort of think to the future rather than necessarily the past. Talk to me about how you built your own company. What drove that? If you can include in some of that, and some of your education and some of the blocks that sort of put you together as a person. I think that would be amazing.
Sure. So I always joke that I've never had a real job. I was raised as a film and theater brat. So my first jobs were in film and theater. Actually, my very, very first paid job was on a little movie called Dirty Dancing.
Very cool. I carried the watermelon.
There you go. This is my.
I think that's like I have my favorite like hard hitting quote, but I think that's my favorite just quote overall. I carried a watermelon.
I carried a watermelon. I did that a lot of days. So I was working in theater and film, mostly film, when I met and married my husband. And when we decided to have a kid, I really didn't want to raise my son in the film business. I wanted to really be at home and have a little bit more of a traditional experience for him. So when he came along, I left the business. And for the first 5 years of his life, I really just sort of dabbled and reconnected with my artistic self and my graphics design. And when he got old enough and he started school, I was really doing a lot of graphics design. And I got lucky enough to do presentations for live events. And so that's how I kind of backed into doing live events and have been growing the company and expanding as he's grown older and needs me less.
a little more time to spend.
Exactly. A little more independent. So then I can be a little bit more independent. So it's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would say for female entrepreneurs that have, pursued the family track, and for male entrepreneurs that are heavy in the family, that is a very familiar story.
Yeah, I was just talking with a dear old friend, and he was saying, now that he's home and he has to really co-parent, and it's really impeding on his progress, on his, his hopes and dreams for his future companies. And I was like, welcome to parenthood.
welcome to what the rest of, the other side is. I started South Event Staffing with, one of the main reasons being I wanted to be home. I have 4 children. So I completely identify with the time thing. I think I've made it work. My wife may agree or disagree to a certain extent. We are certainly a team, and I think like with every relationship, you feel a little less or a little more on the upside of things, but we made it work. So I definitely appreciate that aspect of the story. And so, what's driven the creation of the company, and what are you most focused on I know I heard the virtual and hybrid, but is there a particular kind of event that you're most interested? I heard the nonprofit piece. What's your niche? What's that thing that you really want most?
So we're actually starting our own event because I got tired of looking for it. So I'm just going to make it. It's called Network Bay. It's a 2-day conference. It's full day. It'll be well over 1,000 participants, lots of programming, speakers, breakouts, happy hours, scavenger hunts, the large conferences, the multi-day, the lots of people, the lot of entertaining. That's what I love to do. I love creating large experiences that are immersive for people, that they can come away feeling that they have engaged, they found a new community, or they've reconnected to a community, and they can really come away with feeling reconnected to the world in general, honestly.
Yeah, and I'll just threw up the website here, which is a really, really nice website, by the way. Yeah. So people can sort of get a sense of what you've done on the in-person. I think one of the challenge too with companies is, and I'd love to kind of jump into as a side sort of discussion on, I think in-person events lend themselves to some nice photos like this. And now we're in that virtual and hybrid space. And it's a little bit more challenging not to just be putting up a photo of a bunch of boxes on a screen.
Hard, yeah.
So I'd love to talk through like how you're working on that piece of the marketing side, because I think that's where a lot of event planners in particular are maybe challenged. Like, how do I promote this? How do I talk about this? I heard you when you were talking about platforms. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Liz King Caruso.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and she did a great event. I don't know if you took part in it just a few days ago, but it's still up in her group on Texie Talk, where they went through 8 platforms, which I thought was really good. And then I'm on a bike ride with my buddy Carlos Sandoval, shout out to him, who works for meetings and meetings and incentives, and he was talking to me about a meeting that he was doing, and it's a whole nother platform that I didn't even I've never heard of. So it's just really crazy how much product is out there and how to sort through it. And of course, if Liz was with us today, she would say, and I think very deservingly so, it's not about necessarily the platform, but what you want to do. It's a mixed world. So how are you working with clients and walking them through it?
It's tough. So what we are trying to do is collect as much video snippets and then putting them together in what amounts to basically a highlights reel of kind of the different events that we've done. Of course, for a lot of these organizations, it's all very, very brand new. So there's a lot that we haven't been able to do yet, but are planning to do. So there's a lot of future talk, which is nice, but it's a little, most clients don't want to hear about what can be or what's possible. They want to see really what it looks like. It's been a big, honestly, that's been the biggest challenge, is really talking through, especially some of the nonprofit boards, exactly what it looks like, what the benefits are, and really encouraging them that, for most nonprofits, they're actually raising more money than they expected. So it can be an incredibly powerful and useful tool. And I'm in complete alignment with Liz there. It's, you have to know the program before you can pick the platform, because there's so many different varieties out there, much like venues.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sort of interested in that conversation around, understanding what something is before you get into it, understanding certainly, as business owners ourselves, before we recommend somebody else's service, we want to have experience with it. I know I do, in terms of, okay, I'm going to send you to this vendor. I want to know that the feel and the communication, the service around that is going to be something that I'm pretty sure they're going to enjoy, because if not, it reflects on me. And I understand clients, wanting to definitely work with somebody that's been in the space and has the experience. They don't want to work with a newbie, unexperienced, because I think we've all been there. We've all worked with somebody. Oh yeah, I could fix your car. we know what that experience is like, right? And nobody wants to be on the road and have the motor drop out of exactly. And I think that I've definitely been in that situation with vendors, and I've been fortunate that it's not been vendors that I've hired or that I brought into things, but I've definitely been there picking up the pieces after others. So I understand it. I just recently volunteered to help out our Chamber of Commerce in Mount Pleasant with the website. And it's sort of interesting because I've put together a couple websites, but even when you do something for free, everybody's skeptical. They're asking me, well, what is it going to look like?
I get that question 5 times a day. But what does it look like? Like, what's it going to feel like? And it's like, well, I can show you some approximations. And a lot of the platforms have videos they can send you of their own compilations and sort of highlight reels. But it's very hard to communicate what that's actually going to look like for their specific participant, their specific platform, program.
Half the time it's like, what do you want it to look like?
What do you want it to feel like?
We can make it look like that. I mean, and that's sort of the interesting thing, I think, with virtual and online, is that people just don't understand, we were talking just before we jumped on about this being the StreamYard platform. And the reason I use it is that, rather than Zoom, and I went the first couple of times I was interviewing folks, I was using Zoom, and part of the challenge with Zoom, even though you can go live on Facebook and YouTube, just like I'm doing right now, with this platform is that you don't really get the branding unless you're paying some really high fees. So for basically a very low price, you can use this platform, and it has a lot of broadcast feature kind of capability, where Zoom is really just a couple boxes. Where Zoom is really strong is like the breakout features and the ease of use, and just the raw functionality of the platform. And in fact, so many of the other platforms out there utilize Zoom in some way, shape, or form, just for that reason. I was having that conversation this morning around, you can use other services and other platforms, but it's always getting put up against. There's a reason everybody's using Zoom right now for networking meetings and everything, and it's really just a robust platform. What are you doing on the engagement side? I know that's a huge question. I'm sure as much as you get the question on what it's going to look like is how long, what time, how do we keep people engaged? Do we send them a box? Do we, what are we doing? And I'm always surprised, because I think when it comes to events, there's not as much discussion about the pre-event preparation and the post-event. We're talking about nonprofit organizations. We're talking about companies that usually have a purpose and a reason that's more long-term than just a day or a couple hours. And there's very little conversation. And I think it goes into like the work thing. And I know in terms of takeaways that we were talking about before we got on, staying true to mission, more work than expected. And, only way to fail is not to try. But I find very, very little of the time are we actually talking about the pre-event stuff, the community building, and then the post meeting engagement to sort of keep things ramped up. And then, like, if you're starting an annual meeting, and maybe in talking about this, I'm sure you're doing some things around this with your own meeting that you're developing. So maybe including some of that stuff. So that'd be some free publicity for your event. When is your event happening anyways?
It's October 15th and 16th.
Is that on the Ax3 studios?
It will be, yeah.
Okay.
Right now, it's its own standalone website. It's networkbaybae.com.
Okay.
So yeah, I completely agree. Pre-event, post-event, and then obviously all during the event. So pre-event, what we're planning on doing, and what I try and advocate for. So, this conference is really the conference I would love to do. So it reflects a lot of the things that we recommend to our clients as well. So we are going to have at least a full day where participants and exhibitors can build they can build their profiles, they can network independently of a real program, they can nose around, they can kind of get used to the platform and kind of feel their way, so that when we do start having programming the next day, they're already dexterous and fluid and comfortable in the platform. The other thing I like to do also is to send questions to the audience beforehand for the sessions that they have signed up for, so that they can either be polled or they can send us questions. So I like to start the dialogue at least 2-3 days beforehand, and then we can either address those questions or those polls in those sessions and kind of move the conversation a little bit forward. So that's just a couple of the ways. And yes, we love to send boxes of stuff. So we're working on some sponsors who are talking about sending some nice mixology boxes and some nice treat boxes and things like that. Always good to have a selfie moment during your conference. So send them a little something they can hold up or wear, or something that is your brand. And then have the full screen of all of your participants and take a couple of great photo booth style pictures that way. During the event, obviously polling. With ours, we have a whole open roundtable discussion series where once we sort of kick it off, the first couple of them, it's the participants who are going to decide what the subject matters are and what's discussed. And then post with the, obviously with all the on-demand content, is to have follow-up conversations with your speakers and your key participants. and hopefully the sponsors and the exhibitors as well.
Yeah, I love that, especially with sponsors. I mean, that's so huge, and I find that you know, really can be a spot where us as organizers sometimes can sort of fall short. As you know, we spend so much time trying to get sponsors and all that, and then pay very little time actually making sure they benefit it. I know for MPI Westfield chapter, you know, we've had those sponsors, and I think for multiple reasons, but I think it's something as an organization, it's your duty and your responsibility to make sure the sponsors, you've done everything in your power to show them the way to get the most value, so that they'll come back and so that others will be really happy with what you do.
Well, and for that reason, like, we're lucky enough to be working with someone who's helping us find sponsors that are true partners, so that we're really trying to integrate them into the programming. We're hoping that a couple of them, their chief officers, will come and be our speakers. We'll run breakout rooms, so that their philosophy and their brand and their products all are in line with what your conference is, so that they're not an add-on. They're not just a logo on your homepage, right? They're an integral part of the fabric of the engagement and the conversations that are happening.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think it's so important. I mean, you know, just bringing it all together, and then that starts you on the ramp up for next year, which builds your momentum, which, you know, whether I'm on the bike or I'm on, you know, a business call, momentum is so huge. You know, just having people excited about what you're doing and that consistency, it's huge. I was on a meeting this morning, and we were talking about the importance of consistency. A lot of people are getting started with these video series. I think I'm up to number 62. We've gone live every single day since the end of March. I plan on doing this for at least the next year and beyond. But I know that it's very much like the thought leader at the front of the room, giving away the secrets to success, which is why, incidentally, anybody that's listening, give your secrets away. Don't feel afraid. Share that information. Nobody's going to do anything with it. There's going to be like 1% of each of your audiences, maybe, that go out and actually use that information that you're giving away and actually use it and profit from it. But even that, you know, can be huge. You make an impact on people's life. You showcase yourself as a thought leader, and it's an amazing thing.
Abundance mindset is what we call it in our office.
Say it again.
Abundance mindset.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Believe me, you know, taking that moment to be thankful in the morning and just understanding how abundant our opportunities and resources are in this world is an amazing way to stay focused and happy and joyful, and not thinking of anybody as a competitor, but as a partner and an associate and a colleague and a collaborator. Yeah, exactly. How do you stay true to mission? So I know that's one of your takeaways. So I'll throw up this the Network Bay website here while you get into how you stay true to mission.
True to mission. So it's, you know, it's, for me, it's really simple, because it's really core to who I am. It did take me a while to get there, and I very much encourage people to sort of drill down and figure out what it is, what's their like word or their phrase that is what gets them up in the morning. And for me, it's building communities. So that is expressed through building my own communities, whether it's Network Bay or a happy hour, or it's building communities for and with my clients. It's building community when I was on the PA board. It's, you know, it's really kind of at the center of who I am. And so because it's really that focal point for me as a person, it's not that difficult to stay focused. You know, I do meditate in the morning. I do take long walks in the park with my dog and kind of breathe and sort of think through things. I think it is important to have moments in your day where you clear your mind. of all the to-do lists, all the stresses, all the anxieties. And Lord knows right now there is plenty of all of that. But to quiet everything down a little bit so you can hear that inner voice and sort of realign yourself with that inner purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. I find that, I have my routine. I get up. I got my 5 a.m. call with Lynn Rowe and her group, and that's a nice thing to get my focus thing. And then I head out the door for exercising, and then I get back in and I start my day after my cleansing shower. And it's something that I think, especially during COVID and so many people being at home, whether it's your children, whether it's you, getting out and moving, being thankful, understanding that the world is abundant is such a big deal to make sure that you're moving forward. Talk about this takeaway, the idea that it might be more work than you expected.
Well, so having been freelance and then a solopreneur and now a small business owner, and really coming from art and theater school, I never really got the memo that owning your own business was going to be that difficult. It seemed like, especially at the time, the mantra was like, be an entrepreneur. It's the way to be. So at the time, it didn't seem like it was going to be that challenging. And I think that's true for a lot of goals. I think on the outside, you think, oh, okay, it's very, I got this. And then you get 3 steps in and it's like, oh, wait. So I think in every process, there is that moment of like, ooh, this is a little bit more complicated or a little bit more challenging than I thought it might be. But that's okay. That's part of the process. And that's the moment where you take stock and really, why are you doing it? And what are the real reasons and the real goals? And then sort of redefining the targets along the way so that you can still get there.
I think it's really cool. We're at the clients portion of your website and knowing some of the people that you've worked with. Where, celebrating those victories, obviously it was a lot of work. It was more work than you expected. But once you got that client that you wanted, that event that you wanted, how did that turn out for you in terms of what you were feeling with the work that you were doing?
Really good, honestly. I work hard to form real partnerships with my clients so that we are client vendor, of course, because that's the contract and the pay structure, but we really try to become a seamless part of their team. And so for me, that's really the goal, and to help them build an event and a happening that is, in line with their mission and supportive of their communities. So when we're able to do that, it's a huge moment for celebration for all of us. I feel really good about it.
So you offer strategic planning, event management, accounting transparency. When you are stepping into these relationships with customers, when I think of accounting transparency, just before we got on this call, I was going through some finance stuff. That is definitely my major challenge in life. I just think about the amount of work in terms of the last 9 years with Toth Event staffing, and as we just got a PPP loan, and the work that goes in around financing and taxes is just crazy. So I definitely feel that there's more work than you expected, because you want to do the fun stuff, you want to do the amazing stuff, and at the same time, as you get into this, I think it's really important to understand, hey, it's going to be challenging, but you're going to have success if you try. And that leads us to our third takeaway. So, what happens if you don't try?
Well, what did you say? You said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
Right? So that's basically my sort of overall sort of philosophy, really, is like, if you have something you want to do, if you're dreaming about something, if there's something that's been sort of, gnawing at you a little bit, you have to try. You have to set out. You got to, break it down, make yourself a calendar, plan it out, because I'm a planner. But you got to go for it. And it may not be a straight line. It might, kind of go around like this to get there. And it may not be as quick as you hoped it would be, but you won't ever make it if you stop or if you don't even start. And, there's another great phase of like, you are exactly where you are supposed to be. So what I take from that is that, start where you are, and you're never too old, you're never too young, you're never too female, you're never too male, you're never too anything to really start building and going, or continue to build on something that is really important to you.
I love that message. We were talking about that yesterday with Veronica Curin, and she, was talking about it, and we started riffing a little bit on just the fact that, because I know that there's 20-year-olds that are out there, and I am certainly not 20,
Nope.
but they're feeling like, I'm already behind. It's too late. And then you have your 60 or 70-year-olds that are like, my time has passed. And, each birthday that goes by, you can feel like, have I really accomplished what I want to accomplish? And I think that's the moment that we have to realize the absolute amazing impact. If you're a mother, if you're a father, if you're a community member and you do things in your community, the impact that you have, the amazing things that you have done, you've created a business, you've done this, whatever your accomplishments are, that those are really important. They have an impact. And now, if there's something else that you want to do, now's the time. Right now is the time for you to jump into that. If you need to expand the services of your company, if you need to really bring in more different revenue pieces to what you're doing, there's never been a better time.
Absolutely not. Especially right now when everybody's life is upside down and inside out and changing. Like, this is the moment. And there's so many resources now online that are either dramatically reduced or free, from education to webinars to you name it. I feel like, especially in the last couple of months, even Adobe was giving away its stuff for free for a while. So, definitely capitalize on that. For sure.
Absolutely. So I want to sort of bring things to a close here and wrap things up. So we had our core takeaways: stay true to mission. It might be more work than expected. Expect that. Expect it. More work than expected.
Exactly.
Only way to securely fail is to not try, right? So let's do it. Let's get into it. Let's start the new thing. How is it best for people to reach out to you and get a hold of you? Who are people that you want to work with? And what are you currently, besides if somebody's interested right now in working with you and getting a hold of you to network with you, what are things that you're also looking for out there that, would be something that would be a great person for you to meet for something that you need?
So the best way to reach me is through email. It's my first name, ARYN, at ax3studios.com.
It's okay. I'm going to throw the LinkedIn up there for you. Yep.
Yeah. Or link with me on LinkedIn and we can set up a time. I love having one-to-ones with people. I love talking to people and getting to know them. So if anyone wants to have a one-to-one with me, please just reach out. People that I'm looking to meet, for the business, I'm really looking to meet with members of nonprofit boards and marketing directors, and basically anybody with event in their title. I feel like my industry has really come together as a community, and I would like to continue to do that, to bring events people together.
Have you been on Lunch Bunch with me, MPI WC Lunch Bunch?
I haven't made it yet. I was lucky enough to have a client call yesterday, so I will definitely get there.
Yeah, we have LinkedIn, Sandra Long talking on LinkedIn specifically next week, and then we have Speaker Sue, who has written books on power sales writing, doing really effective emails. So she's great, and she'll be on August 5th. So there's a couple that I really I'm excited about. Again, so people can get in touch with you with email. You're interested in connecting with people that are in the event space. And what are the type of clients that you're particularly looking for right now?
Honestly, it's very broad, which I know is not very helpful, but anyone who had an in-person event or is thinking about a virtual event or wants to expand their virtual presence, I have a free 1-hour consultation that I offer. So I'll basically talk to anybody.
So take advantage.
Take advantage of it. Yes. I mean, I've demoed well over 100 different platforms at this point. We're quite knowledgeable. So I'm trying to share that with as many panicked nonprofit board members, nonprofits, and for-profit, marketing directors, basically anybody who has an event and they just simply cannot figure out how they're going to do it other than using Zoom, and they don't want to use Zoom. I mean, I can help them with Zoom too, but
I think it's cool. I think that there's so many things that you can do, whatever platform you're using. But I think, one of the advantages of working with somebody like yourself, Aryn, is that, you want to put something together. You want to bring your team together. You want to bring your company together. You want to bring consumers together. Having that strategy, having that user experience, you can focus on what you do, and we can focus on what we do in terms of bringing people together and engaging people. I've had the conversation several times with folks that want to put together a meeting, and I am very much in that frame of like, I am going to make sure we get to your goals. And I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, and I had that conversation of, well, we're looking at platforms, and I'm like, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And I think everybody's looking for I want it to be shiny. And I'm like, what are you trying to sell? How can I help you do that?
Right.
Here's what I think would really help you sell. No, we're going to look at, I'm like, okay. What are you gonna do?
That's like buying the car before you know how to drive.
Yeah,
or
really or buying the car because you like how it looks and realizing that it's a stick shift and you can't actually use it.
Exactly right. Or that it's too clunky, or changes are too slow, or they don't have the right priorities. Like, yeah, you really have to dig down on the strategy of your program.
Looks good on the outside, but once I get in, it's really uncomfortable.
Exactly. Or it doesn't match your participants because they're skew older and it's very technically, challenging, or you really have to know your strategy, your objectives, and who's your target audience, like everything else.
Who are your users, right? All right, I'm going to let you have the final word, and then we're going to get into the biz dev theme once again.
Ooh, no pressure. The final word is, these are definitely strange and challenging times, but remember that they are temporary and that we're all in it together. And if we pull together as communities and either, whether that's online or in some sort of hybrid version, we're going to make it through better than the way we came in. So everybody just please be safe and be smart out there.
That was awesome. Stick with me, Aryn. We'll be right back.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays.
See you on Monday, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C. Brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.